Okay, so I want you to just picture this. I think pretty much everyone listening has been here. You're on a crowded bus, maybe a subway car. It's rush hour.
Oh, I can feel it already.
Right. The air conditioning is barely working. It's loud. Someone's music is leaking from their headphones, and you've got this, like, mental grocery list running on a loop.
And your phone is buzzing with work notifications about something that was due yesterday. It's the definition of the daily grind, the sensory overload.
Exactly. And in that moment, holding onto that greasy pole, it feels like the absolute opposite of spiritual, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just feels like noise, like you're a million miles away from nature or peace.
But that's the central question, isn't it? What if you weren't?
What if you could hold on to that deep intuitive connection to, source right there while being jostled by strangers?
And that is the absolute core of the text we are diving into today. It's this beautiful exploration of a protagonist the author calls Source Energy in Sneakers.
I just love that title, Source Energy in Sneakers. It's such a vibe.
It really is. It captures the mission perfectly because usually the advice is to retreat, Go find a cabin, sit in silence, escape the world.
Get away from it all.
Yes. This text argues the opposite. It asks, how do you keep your shimmering, that intuitive spark alive while navigating city grit and family drama and all of it?
It's basically a guide to what the text calls the sacred logistics of incarnation.
I mean, what a
It's
phrase.
just a beautiful way of saying, how do you stay a spiritual being when you still have to buy milk and pay taxes?
Precisely. How to be a Mother Moon Earth goddess, but, without checking out of reality. She doesn't reject the modern world. She learns to translate it.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The text starts with her origin story, her childhood, and it uses this phrase, she was born remembering.
Right. And it's so important to get what that means. She wasn't remembering facts like the periodic table or something.
Not at all. It was more modes of being.
Yes. She remembered, and I'm quoting here, how to breathe in forests and how to hear rain argue with rooftops. It's this innate sensitivity that most of us kind of lose.
The text says she carried moonlight like a pocket mirror to check if the world was telling the truth. I mean, that's a heavy thing for a kid to carry.
It is. It shows this intense relationship with things most people ignore. Like she loved things with an unfair intensity.
Unfair intensity. I love that.
She's not just observing ants on a windowsill, she's sort of vibrating with them. But that, of course, brings us to the first conflict. When you're a kid operating on that frequency and you try to show that to adults.
They shut it down. They tell you to stop daydreaming.
Exactly. They've forgotten that language. And so she has a choice. Does she stop feeling or does she find a workaround?
And she chooses the workaround. The text calls it translation.
Yes, and this is so key. She didn't stop feeling the magic. She just stopped broadcasting it. She learned to speak adult, brought home the report cards, did the chores.
She became fluent in the mundane.
You could say she was leading a kind of double life. Outwardly, she's conforming. But inwardly, she stored the real currency, vibration, intuition, and timing under her tongue like a seed.
Wow, like a seed, keeping it safe.
It's a survival mechanism. You act normal to protect the inner world from being trampled.
That makes so much sense.
It
And
will
speaking
be.
of being trampled, the text describes her family as a weather system.
Which is such a brilliant analogy because you can't control the weather. You can only prepare for it. The text says you could hear the future crackle.
Oh, that's what walking on eggshells feels like. You can feel the static in the house before the storm hits.
And because of that, she became a connoisseur of politeness and quiet revolt. She learned to read the room instantly.
But isn't there a danger there? If you spend your whole life translating yourself for other people, don't you risk, losing the original signal?
That's the ultimate risk. But the text says she made a promise to that inner feeling, that seed under her tongue, that she wouldn't abandon it. It says promises matter when you're building a planet inside yourself.
Building a planet inside yourself. So good.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next phase. She grows up, she leaves that family weather system, and she moves to the ultimate noise machine, the city.
Right. So now we have our source energy in sneakers in the urban jungle. And normally the city is the enemy in these kinds of stories. It's the thing that disconnects you.
But this text just flips that script. It says the city is just another ecosystem. It's made of concrete and electricity, sure, but you can still read it. It's still energy.
It calls the city a collage of buses sighing and screens offering algorithmic comfort.
It sounds a little grim, but she navigates it like a forest. She finds the cracks. She finds a park with a pocket of wind that smells like pine, Or she'll notice benches that remember every conversation.
Benches that remember conversations. That's such a lovely, almost haunting idea.
It is, but it's a technique. She's tracing lines of safety the way birds trace thermals. She's not fighting the noise, she's finding the quiet currents within it.
The text sums this up with a line I had to highlight. Mapping tenderness onto concrete until the concrete learns to be tender back.
That's it right there. It's a two-way street. She is integrating her nature into the artificial world. She brings the softness. And this isn't just a mental thing. This is where her body comes in, the whole somatic intelligence part of the text.
Yeah. Her body has opinions, which I can definitely relate to. My back has some very strong opinions.
Yeah, doesn't it just? And what I love is how this section balances the mystical with the medical.
Yeah.
It doesn't bypass physical reality.
No, it's super grounded. It says sometimes the solution is poetic, like eating fruit as an apology to sunlight.
Which is just a beautiful way of thinking about reconnecting in a world full of fluorescent lights.
But then on the flip side, it says sometimes the solution is just naproxen and alkaline water.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes a headache is a spiritual message, and sometimes it's just a headache. You might need a poem, or you might need an anti-inflammatory. It's about listening to what's actually needed.
Right, not just performing some kind of spirituality.
And speaking of listening, we have to talk about the part where she listens to objects. This is maybe the most unusual and kind of charming part of the whole text.
Oh, right. The animism. Her desk told her it needed less weight.
A glove wanted a balm.
And my absolute favorite, the phone charger on the bus said, "Trust me, but verify."
Now, a skeptic might hear that and think, okay, a phone charger can't talk.
I'll admit I raised an eyebrow. A phone charger giving life advice. Sounds a bit like burnout.
But if you look at the mechanism, it's a form of extreme mindfulness. When she listens to the desk, she's really just noticing the clutter is affecting her mental state.
So when the desk says, "I need less weight," it's her own subconscious saying, "Hey, this mess is stressing me out."
Exactly. The text calls it obedience to subtlety. By honoring these small, seemingly irrational prompts, she's training her intuitive muscle.
It's like spiritual cross-training. If you can hear a phone charger, you can definitely hear your gut when it really matters. You're fine-tuning the receiver.
That's the payoff. She supports this with what the text calls micro-rituals.
Like rinsing fruit in a bowl of sunlight, or listening to one honest song all the way through, no skipping.
Or touching her hair to distinguish between actual dirt and the shadow of something leaving. It's all about creating these little buffers, these moments of grounding.
But you can't just live in a vacuum with your fruit and your phone charger. You have to deal with people.
The inevitable other people. Which brings us to boundaries. And her definition here is so different from what you usually hear.
It's radically different.
The text says boundaries came later for her, like shoreline comes later than water. And shoreline is the key word.
Right, because most of us think of boundaries as walls we put up to keep people out.
A slammed door. But a shoreline isn't a wall. It defines where the ocean ends and the land begins. It's where the water, which is love in this metaphor, can actually breathe.
That makes so much sense. Without a shoreline, the ocean just floods everything. It becomes a swamp.
Precisely. You need the distinction for a healthy interaction, and she has this script she uses. I am not against you. I am for my wholeness.
I am for my wholeness. That's a total reframe. It takes the focus off rejection and puts it on preservation.
It de-escalates things immediately, and the text says she stopped weaponizing her intensity. A storm became a garden hose. She still has the power, she just learned how to aim it.
And that logic extends to her view of love as an ecosystem, not a fenced-in tree, but a whole forest with mushrooms and changing soil.
And there's this hierarchy of values. Sex bows to love bows to truth, and truth bows to freedom.
Okay, truth bows to freedom. Let's unpack that, because we usually think of truth with a capital T as the ultimate goal.
I think in this context, it means that even being right, holding on to your version of the truth in an argument, has to serve the ultimate goal of being free. If being right keeps you trapped in resentment, it's not serving you.
You have to let go of being right to be free. That is tough.
It is. But it's part of managing the ecosystem. Even jealousy, she calls it an alarm without a fire. You don't panic. You just check the stove, maybe crack a window. You handle it practically.
So, okay, we've covered her inner world, the city, relationships. But what about work? The emails, the deadlines. How does a Mother Moon Earth goddess handle a spreadsheet?
Laughs. This is the sacred logistics of incarnation. And I love that phrase because it connects the to-do list directly to the spiritual practice.
It's where the rubber meets the road.
Right. It's figuring out which bus gets you where your spirit already is, or just answering a text in a tone that keeps the thread human.
Keeping the thread human. That's a great policy for corporate email. It's so easy to just become a robot, per my last email.
It is, but she tries to infuse humanity into the bureaucracy, and one of the ways she does that is by tracking cycles, not just clocks.
Yes, this part was fascinating. Some days have an Aquarius spine electric. Good for brainstorming.
And other days rely on water logic, slower, more intuitive, better for deep focus or even rest.
She's working with her own energy instead of fighting against it, which just seems so much healthier than trying to force the same level of output every single day.
But she's still human. She messes up. She falls out of alignment.
And how she deals with that is key. The text calls it repair without theater.
Repair without theater. I love that. No drama, no shame spirals, no making a big show of how sorry you are.
She apologizes like a gardener.
Exactly. Not with shame, but with the goal of cultivating conditions so the harm doesn't happen again.
You just weed in the garden, you pull the weed, check the soil.
It takes the ego out of it. It's not, I am bad. It's, how do we fix this ecosystem? It turns a mistake into a logistics problem.
So bringing it all together, she's managed to integrate it all. She is source with a grocery list and origin with a playlist.
And that's really the core takeaway here. The most authentic person isn't some saint floating above it all. Authenticity is the woman on the bus watching the trees keep their appointments with wind.
It's a continuous, quiet choice. Not a big spectacle. She's just real.
And there's that beautiful final image. She lies down at night, the city is humming, and the text says the earth notices.
Oh, good, she remembered. That line gives me chills.
Oh, good, she remembered. It's this idea that the earth is just waiting for us to remember our connection to it, even from a high-rise apartment. It's just relieved when we come back.
And because she remembered, everything sleeps easier. Her alignment actually calms the world around her.
It validates that your internal state has an external impact. You are an acupuncture point for the city.
So what does this mean for you listening right now? Maybe you're on your commute or folding laundry.
The takeaway is you don't have to throw it all away and move to a yurt. You just have to translate it. You bring the forest into the office.
You find your own lines of safety. You listen to your own objects.
It's about being that Mother Moon Earth goddess in sneakers. It's about integration, not escape. It's about remembering who you are, even when the noise tries to make you forget.
I think I need that on a t-shirt. Mother Moon Earth Goddess in sneakers.
It'd be a long t-shirt, but I fully support it.
So before we go, we always like to leave you with a provocation, something to take with you.
The text says the protagonist stopped deciding in advance to be smaller, just so no one would misinterpret her size. So here's the question for you. If you stop deciding in advance to be smaller, if you stop dimming your own shimmering just to fit in the room, what weather system in your own life would change tomorrow?
Would the air go tight? Or would you finally hear the wind? Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Until next time.